Hey guys, Twisted Auto Detail here, Norman. I'll be talking about headlight restoration and why is it important? Why is it even a reason to get it professionally detailed? Over the counter stuff will work well, works just fine, but you're going to be doing it either every year or by the end of the season, depending on where you live. Obviously, hotter climates, more sun, colder climates, less sun. I'll just be walking through my professional step process and uh, also going over some other people's cars that are, you know, foggy, foggy headlights, destroyed, cracked, whatnot, stuff like that. Just show you uh, start to finish my process. I'm still waiting for my videos to upload to my GoPro, uh, but I'll probably do a shorter video just showing you what I did, kind of just reflecting on what I've done, and then kind of tell you the reason why. Your headlights are foggy, yellow, dull. I'm going to tell you how to bring them back to life. I'm going to show you the chemicals I would recommend. If you're a car enthusiast, if you're a professional, you should be using nothing over the counter. You should be using stuff that has to be ordered uh, from an actual specified company. Uh, you know, that being it, let me show you what I'm talking about here. These super foggy, beat up headlights. You can't see anything. You can't even see the bulb in there. And then you see right below it. And this is from Jeremy Dre. Don't know that company, or I don't know that guy. This is just a random website that I'm pulling these from, Motor Biscuit. But this is they easily have sanded it. Easily they had to have sanded it. This person takes a blade to it. I wouldn't take a blade to it, but there's many ways to skin a cat. I wouldn't scrape it. Wouldn't be a smart idea. You're gonna get irregular uh, cuts because headlights aren't flat; they're round. So I don't know why you take a blade to it. This process right here, I usually start off with cleaning off the entire uh, hood. So hood all the way down and about a foot below the headlight. And the reason why I do that is I want to get rid of any dirt, foreign objects, anything that would cause my cleaning and buffing to be ruined by a speck of dirt that could get embedded in the buffing pad that could end up creating swirl cuts, not just swirl marks, swirl cuts to where it gouges the plastic. Taping, I wouldn't use painter's tape. I would actually be using, that's another headlight restoration. Like they're obviously going to be spray painting that. That's a paint, that's a sprayer. But body tape, auto body tape is the strongest and best tape. Uh, and the reason why it is able to handle water, uh, it's able to handle, yeah, see, it stays on plasma, all that, and it's dependable. And then while you're sanding your vehicle using this, uh, it's just the best case scenario. It's a thicker tape, it has better adhesive, it's able to handle when you're sanding, it's a lot more forgiving instead of accidentally sanding your paint and then you're having a bigger problem than just your headlights. You're now going into having to repaint parts of your car. That's why I would use automotive refinishing masking tape. It comes in yellow, tan, there's multiple different colors. Um, that's what you want to do. Those are the first two most important steps. Wash the entire front end. It gets rid of all the dirt, the salt, the oils, any chemicals that are on the paint around the headlight or even on the headlight are removed. Tape off the headlight, you know. Uh, and I'll even double tape it just to give a second layer of protection. You know, this is where it gets dangerous. You're now getting into your sanding process. Let's see, and use a regular pH balance. I have a 1 and 3 inch polisher, but orbital sandpaper, I start off usually with 1,000, then I go 3,000, then I go 5,000. There's other people I've seen and heard they went up to 10,000 on here. Um, those are the only two I would recommend. Only three sandpapers I would actually recommend is 1,000, 3,000, 5,000. The higher you get in this is the less that you're going to have to buff and polish to make it clear. And then less is more. So you don't want to be going to 1,000 and then you're trying to buff it out. I go up to 5,000. It's less buffing. It's less heat, less burn. And for me personally, it's just safer. So I do need to get more 5,000, 3,000 out of it. And I'm not out, but I'm getting low. And I typically don't reuse sandpapers if I'm not doing like 2 or 3 of these like a week. Like if I have like 3 in a week, I might use the same one. It depends on severities, obviously. And if I'm like sanding out rocks, embedded contaminants, I'll throw it away instead. I'd rather have a new one rather than I have a one that is now bringing on foreign particles who damage somebody else's car. So wet sanding is all I use. I don't do dry sanding. That's one big difference I've noticed between me and other headlight restoration people. I do wet sanding because I don't want any plastic flying in the air, dropping somewhere else on the car, a chance to get put back in the mix of when I'm putting on the coating. So wet sanding, I'll do like my 2-3 sprays on the headlight, and then I do 2 sprays on the sanding pad, and then I just start casually, just like nice, moderate motion, as low as you can as far as pressure. I have like a 1-inch pad on the back of my sander just because I do have heavy hands, and just so I'm not overburning the headlight. And then I do about 3 passes, so 1, 2, 3, and then I'll stop, spray, wipe, and kind of see if it's a lot cleaner, smooth. And if it is smooth at 1,000, I then step up to 3,000, and again it's 1, 2, 3. So people say 6 passes. I say it's 3 full cycles, but whichever, it's the same. 6 one way, half a dozen the next. After going through all that, I then go on to the buffing and polishing. So I use they're called Thin Lab. You can buy some stuff from them, but I don't believe you can buy everything. And this is where I get my ceramic coating. Fine, medium. I have heavy and medium. So I do heavy because this takes care of 1,000. So FinLab, you might be able to buy this. Pretty awesome stuff. You have to shake it for about a minute or two. Like 1 minute of shaking this just to make sure all the particles are all the all the chemicals and stuff like that are mixed well, and you get an even chemical use. There it is. It's a shake well. I was trying to read it, but not on here. But yeah, I use that, and I do about 1 to 2 dots on my buffing pad because it's only like a 2-inch. So I'll do like 2 dimes, and then like obviously like really pack it all over the front, and then I'll just start with my buff passes. And with that, I go very slow. I no weight. Because it's plastic. This stuff was not really meant to be getting buffed and polished, but they make them sturdy enough to where you can do that. And then as you see the clarity coming back, make sure you're checking for heat, because the last thing you want to do is cause a fracture in the headlight, because it'll heat up in the spot you're working in, stay cool around it, and then you could cause a break on the headlight. And that's where you'll get, apples to oranges here as far as the difference. So doing that. And then once you're done buffing, this is important. I buy this from Fred Meyer's. It's 99 isopropyl alcohol. It's like $3 for a 16 ounce. This is, you're supposed to do a 50-50 mix. I buy them at 99% because I have a 32-ounce bottle. And then I'll just pour this in, and then I'll fill the other half with water. I have a perfect mixture. It never fails if the way that I do it. You can buy a 70%, and then you have to obviously do 30% water, whatever you want to do. Easiest bet is just do 50-50. It's way easier, way better. And then I'll spray on the rag. This is important. Spray directly on the rag. Wipe back and forth, and then I'll flip it, spray again, and then wipe. So I'll literally do 2 clean wipes on each headlight with separate rags. So I use 2 rags for this setup. Why? It lessens the chance for oil to be moved from one to the other or vice versa. And that way, you know, you have a clean, unsoiled rag when you're moving to the next headlight. Because the last thing you want to do is if you apply your UV coating to your headlight and there's still oil on there, there's still debris on there, it will not only mess up the chemical, you'll start having these divots because the oil will push the UV coating out away from it. Because as it's trying to dry and take that spot, the oil separates it, moves it around, and then you're going to have this like weird rainbow haze. That's just not going to be good for you. It's going to be a bad day. So that's, the alcohol is just as important as sanding. It's like the one, and those are the 2 things that if you mess those up, it's a wrap. Then we get on to the final, the final process is the UV coating. I use this. It's one of the best ones I've ever used. That's a clear coating. That actually is it has to be a plastic coating because it's like an alcohol, some type of chemical to where it stays liquid as it's in the packet, but when it dries, it's literally adding a layer. And I've tested it on plastic itself. It actually raises like almost, once you do the 2 wipes, about 2 millimeter or about a millimeter, it's actually becomes layered. So that's what you do with this. It's a 2-step process. The first time you coat over the headlights with the first wipe goes over both. So each wipe is for both headlights at the same time. So the first coat I do in a almost like a spray paint fan pattern. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, however many you need, but like I'll go at that at 50% coverage. So the one I did today was like 4 passes because that's how I had to coat it. And I do keep tape and I do put tape back around it because this stuff will coat over plastic and stuff like that, to where you'll be adding layers to other parts of the car that you don't want to. If you're not skilled at how to use the wipes to not hit any other part of your car, retape your headlight off. The nice part is you don't have to be crazy with it, just enough to cover up the parts of the car that obviously you don't want plastic now being coated over it. That being said, the first wipe, it's about, you let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. Don't do this in direct sunlight because the radiation from the sun will cook these a lot faster, and it might mess up this part, which is also a very important part, because if you mess this up, you're back to sanding, buffing, and redoing this. And I don't know how much they are per packet when you buy it somewhere, but yeah, it's like less than $1 for a case of these that I buy. First coat's for 10 minutes. Second coat, you let it sit for an hour. The last 10 minutes of the hour, I'll turn the car on and turn the headlights on just to give it an even kind of like heat coating, because up here in Alaska, it doesn't get hot all the time and we don't have sun as much as in the lower 48. So I'll end up turning the headlights on to give it kind of like a warm burn, just so it actually cooks with heat, not just with the airflow or with the heat in my shop. You know, I'm at like usually between 65, 70. I just want to make sure it's good for the customer. It's well protected. It's done, and it's good to go. So start to finish, wash the car, tape around it. Don't use painter's tape unless it's last resort. But painter's tape is not meant to be getting wet. It rolls up just in this photo, and then after this process, you put on that 3M coating after you've done the alcohol wipe, and then you're good. All in all, this step is about hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes total. That's how long it takes me because of the hour and 15 of allowing the chemical to dry properly. Otherwise, hopefully that helps. Talk to you guys later. Otherwise, keep it twisted, keep it clean. Teton After Dark. Peace.